Testing has taught us a lot, but one thing that F1 fans have been noticing is how improved RB Formula One team are. They were just 1/10 of Ferrari and McLaren on the first day of testing thanks to Daniel Ricciardo and look extremely quick. So let's take a look at the RB F1 team chances for the 2024 season, as well as why their surprising pace could cause a massive protest from the rest of the grid. Last year was a disappointment for the team formerly known as alphatauri. While they did climb from 9th to 8th in the constructors' standings, RB still finished with their lowest points tally since they were called Toro Rosso. For a team with such a talented driver lineup, this was massively disappointing. Daniel Ricciardo is a race-winning driver and is aiming to show he can still compete at the front. Yuki Tsunoda looked like an incredibly exciting prospect who is getting the best out of a slow car. There was hope that the team could improve in 2024, and testing certainly seems to have shown that they are moving in the right direction. Day 1 of F1 testing was a great day for fans, and especially a great day for RB. Yuki Tsunoda took the morning session of day 1 and put in a solid 64 laps. However, it was Daniel Ricciardo who really showed the pace of the VCARB 01. While the Aussie only managed 52 laps, he did finish the day with the 4th fastest time. Ricciardo was extremely close to the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz and just a 10th of a second behind Lando Norris in his McLaren. Day 2 followed a similar pattern, with Ricciardo putting in most of the work and ending up with the 5th fastest time of the day. Day 3 was another positive one for RB. Daniel Ricciardo completed 3 simulations and therefore finished last in the timing sheet. But with Yuki Tsunoda on the faster C4 tyre, he put in the 5th fastest time of the day and was just 2/100ths of a second off of Max Verstappen. Not only did the team make it through testing without any major technical or reliability-based problems, but they also showed some impressive pace over 1 lap and on the longer runs. They were even more impressive than Aston Martin and Mercedes through the 3 days of pre-season testing. All of a sudden, RB looked like they could be the surprise team of 2024. They could jump up the grid and be a real problem for the teams chasing the top 3 in the constructors' standings. Now, why RB could be the surprise team of 2024? It's not just testing that has given fans confidence in the improvements that RB can make. While there have been complaints about the increased collaboration between Red Bull and RB, there is no doubt that it will make the new VCARB 01 a faster car than its predecessor. RB has switched to a pull rod front suspension, which is not massively surprising considering this is the suspension that Red Bull uses. The car has a different radiator intake, which is also similar to last year's Red Bull. There is also a slot gap on the nose, which is something that Red Bull had last year. RB certainly are in the first team to build a car similar to the dominant one from last year. Throughout the hybrid era, everyone was trying to get as much information on the Mercedes cars for one reason: to use it as inspiration for their own car building. The advantage that RB have is that they have a close relationship with Red Bull. That relationship has been built on in the last year as Red Bull looked to turn around a team that were moving towards the back of the grid. So RB heads into the year with the Red Bull gearbox, rare suspension, and a huge amount of influence from the reigning champions. This can only be a good thing for a team who have not produced fast cars over the last 2 seasons. They already look much faster both on long runs and over a single lap. It's not just on the car where RB have been making significant changes. Long-serving team principal Franz Tost has stepped down, and the Red Bull group have done some impressive recruiting. Former Ferrari deputy team principal Lauren McKees to replace Tost. McKees is just one of a host of new signings the team has made in the off-season. FIA technical director Tim Gross has joined the team, while Guillaume Catellani has come across from Red Bull. This is the sort of overhaul that RB needed as they began to drift towards the back of the grid. It also highlights the increased relationship between Red Bull and RB. The people inside the team certainly have big aspirations for RB. Yuki Tsunoda recently said that he would love it for RB to challenge Red Bull at some point in the near future. Daniel Ricciardo said that the team want to be fighting at the front of the midfield and praised the team's ability to bring in upgrades midway through the season. It really seems like there is a revolution going on with the RB team outside of just the name. New team principal McKees has spoken about the team's ambition to fight for bigger prizes, and it looks like they could be doing exactly that in 2024. Why this is great for Daniel Ricciardo? There are 2 people who are certainly going to benefit from all of these changes. Yuki Tsunoda looks like he could have a massive 2024. He has been impressive in a lackluster car for the last couple of years, so maybe with a better team around him, Yuki could turn into a consistent point scorer. The man who this should really help is Daniel Ricciardo. The Aussie driver returned to the grid midway through the season before an injury kept him out of 5 races. Ricciardo did return towards the end of the season and put in an impressive drive in Mexico. Ricciardo made it very clear that he would only move to RB if he felt like this gave him the chance to get a top seat once again. Despite a couple of difficult seasons with McLaren, Ricciardo wants to show the ability that he still has in F1. So you would imagine that Danny knows how important 2024 is going to be for him. At 34 years old, he doesn't have a huge amount of time left in his prime. F1 is only getting younger, and the opportunities could be limited for Ricciardo if he doesn't perform to the best of his abilities. The good news for the Aussie is that there should be a few openings for 2025. There is already a spare seat at Mercedes thanks to Lewis Hamilton's blockbuster move to Ferrari, which takes place at the end of 2024. Danny Ric could also be eyeing up a reunion with Max Verstappen as Sergio Perez's contract expires at the end of 2024. Both Aston Martin and Alpine drivers are also out of contract. If Ricciardo can have a great season, then he could get the chance to compete at the front once again. So RB's pace in preseason testing will be very pleasing for Ricciardo. That could be the car that gives him the chance to get back into the podium contending seat. Why, the rest of the grid has a problem with this. F1 teams will always look for a way to slow down their opponents. For the rest of the grid, there is one easy path to having the FIA keep a closer eye on RB. Zak Brown has been the vocal lead on the grid's displeasure with a close relationship between Red Bull and RB. It's not the sharing parts that's the issue. Plenty of teams use supplier parts from the faster teams. McKee said in a recent interview that RB don't use the maximum amount of parts that they could from Red Bull. Teams like McLaren and Aston Martin will be more concerned about Red Bull and RB sharing information, which is certainly not allowed. Seeing as it is in Red Bull's interest for RB to be further up the grid, you can understand why they would have the motivation to share information between the two teams. If RB carry this same sort of pace into this season, then expect to see a lot of protests to the FIA about this team. But one thing is for certain, we are going to see a much improved RB team this season. What do you think about RB's chances this upcoming season? Why not put your thoughts in the comments down below? And while you're down there, hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.